Welcome to Men's Alliance Mondays. Limitless Outdoors and the Limitless Podcast is all about overcoming obstacles. The major contributor to overcoming said obstacles and being limitless is being faithful to God. My journey in faith has led me to the fastest growing men's group in America, Men's Alliance. Simply put, Men's Alliance is sharpening men to be the husbands, fathers, and leaders God designed us to be. In collaboration with Men's Alliance, the Limitless Podcast will be hosting Men's Alliance Mondays for as long as God calls Limitless to record and publish this series of episodes. So what is Men's Alliance Mondays? The first Monday of every month, we'll host a tribesman actively participating at a tribe who has overcome major obstacles in their life through Christ and the tribal connections in Men's Alliance. This series is tribal, rugged, and real. In the end, you will learn that there are two types of men in the world: those who know they need Men's Alliance and those who think they don't, but they do. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another." Tribe up.
Flipping tires in the dust, sweat runs down our backs. Challenge coins in weathered palms, patch on a sweat brim hat. We learn each other's bruises. We learn each other's names, then we turn toward the hurting and we speak Jesus' name.
Good morning, Limitless Podcast listeners. This is a pilot episode. This is going to be content that you've never heard on the Limitless Podcast, but I don't want to jump into that just yet. You might have to listen for 30 to 40 minutes before you really hear what this pilot content is going to be about, but it is associated with our guest today. But before we do all of that, as usual, let's talk about show sponsors. And I'm going to remind you again, these sponsors do not benefit the Limitless Podcast. These sponsors are companies that I trust. It is equipment and products that I use, I travel with, I hunt with, I train with. I believe in these companies, and they have offered these discounts for your benefit, not for my own. They do not drive my content. They do not drive my opinion. I am not driven by their funds. This is for your benefit. Hunting Day Coffee. 10% off any order, Hunting Day Coffee. They are a faith-based family out of Virginia. They hunt, they fish, they believe in God. They have great coffee. Be Limitless 10. We have Phelps Game Calls, 20% off one order of Phelps Game Calls. That's not one item, that's one order. So spend it wisely, and that's Be Limitless 20. Have On Point Adventure Foods, another faith-based family organization. They're out of Pennsylvania. Freeze-dried food. It is incredible. All of their ingredients are sourced locally out of Pennsylvania. That is a 10% discount on any order off of their website, Be Limitless 10. Have Vortex Optics. They do not deal with consumers directly. So their discount, which is a 25% discount on Vortex Optics at eurooptics.com. This is a mouthful. VTX MTLS25. That is your discount code on eurooptics.com. Wilderness Athlete. Usually I'm drinking some Wilderness Athlete while I'm recording, but this morning I'm sitting here with a hot cup of coffee. 20% off any order of any Wilderness Athlete products on their website. That's Be Limitless 20. And last but not least, fellow Navy veteran, retired senior chief buddy of mine out of Maryland he hates it when I say this. It is a boutique hot sauce. He cooks this stuff at home. It's so good. It is spicy. It is a hot sauce. It is called the Love Sauce. That is 10% off of any order $12 or more. That's Be Limitless 10. So, with all of that behind us, with me today is David Goose Mills. Goose, which I will fondly refer to him as Goose for the rest of this show. That's his call sign. More to come on that. Retired Air Force pilot, great veteran, man of faith, incredible Christian, founder of an amazing men's ministry. He is a husband, father, and true leader. We'll get into that more here in a few minutes. And he is an outdoorsman, an athlete, and fond of MA, not Men's Alliance, MA, martial arts, getting on the mat. So, Goose, welcome to the Limitless Podcast. And thanks for taking the time out this morning. Tell us about you.
Thanks, brother. It is awesome to be here, man. I love what you're doing. I'm excited to be a guest on this pilot episode. Speaking of pilot, one correction from your introduction there. I was a navigator, and if I don't correct the record, I will receive crap from my fellow Air Force brethren. I only sat behind the pilot and told him where to go, and just the brains of the aircraft, and he was just the hands of the aircraft. You understand? So, man, I'll tell you what. All things, like you and I were talking before we hit record. All things hunting, fishing. I used to roll on a mat quite a bit, and MA. So, dude, we can go so many places here. I'm just excited to be able to tell your listeners on the Limitless Podcast about this ministry, Men's Alliance, and how it's changing the landscape of men's ministry by doing everything the opposite of the way church ministry has been done for years. And I'll unpack that. But the way the reason why we're spreading, we're growing, is because we're doing it the opposite. We're taking the playbook that churches have been running for decades, and we're doing it the exact opposite, and we're seeing tremendous results.
Speak a little more. Well, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. When and why did you start Men's Alliance?
Yeah, man. So 2015, actually it was January 1st, 2015. That's when I went all in, giving my life to Jesus. So, I had basically made a mess of things on my own, made every big mistake, that a man can make, was just rock bottom, disappointed in myself, wasn't the man I wanted to be, and knew that something had to change. So I gave my life to Jesus that January morning, 2015. I was like, God, you just take over, just take everything. Like, I don't even want to try to be in charge of my life anymore. It's all in your hands. And I've since learned in the rearview mirror, I've learned the theological implications of what I was doing and what I was saying, but to boil it all down, it's a total surrender. It's got to be a 100%. And what I realized was I'd been living most of my life kind of giving 80 or 90% to God, but kind of always keeping this little section of my own little personal area kind of roped off. And this part's not for God. And this is my own little personal private sins that I got going over here. And they're okay because I'm managing them and I'm in control and it'll all be all right. Because every guy thinks that he's a little smarter than the average guy, right? We all think we'll get away with all the stuff nobody else did. And then we're not. We're just as dumb as every other guy. So to me, the difference is, the difference between 99% giving your life to Christ and 100%, that 1%, that's the entire difference, is that right there. So this was part of my story. Going all in changed everything for me. My life did a 180. So fast forward over these next 24 months after this, I'm realizing I'm doing everything right. I'm doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing to live for God. And I'm realizing, like, I'm not going to be able to sustain this new course indefinitely for the rest of my life by myself. Like, it's only a matter of time before I falter again, before I fail, before I veer off this new course. And I don't want to do that. I want to stay on this new course. So I realized the only way I'm going to make it is to surround myself with strong Christian warriors. I've got to put myself in rooms with men who are closer to God with me, who are bolder than me, who are stronger than me, right? I've got to seek them out. I've got to create those opportunities, create those moments so that I can be sharpened by some like-minded Christian men. So this is what led up to the creation of Men's Alliance, right? I'm looking for this group that I know I need. It doesn't exist. Everything that exists is, church small groups, life groups. You go through a book together. You read a chapter each week. And I tried those, and they weren't working for me. I know they might work for some guys, and I'm not trashing them. I'm just saying that's not what I needed. I needed something a little more kind of real, authentic, kind of barbaric. I wanted to be outdoors, unleashing a war cry, bearing my soul around a fire. I don't want to pretend I read the chapter for the week and say that I'm fine.
Or maybe not even reading the chapter for the week, but having
pretending we read the chapter. Yeah. Breeze through a couple pages of it and pick up a few buzzwords so you can sound like you read the chapter, right? We all know the game, man. And I didn't need another book club. And so I started Men's Alliance as a small group at the church I was going to. And I just threw it out there to the guys of the church. I was like, listen, I'm starting a group because I need it. I want to meet outside Monday night. I want us to do a workout together because that's how men bond. I don't want to share my soul with you if I haven't struggled, with you in a mission. If we haven't accomplished something hard together, we're not brothers yet. And so I understood that. So I was like, hey, we're going to meet outside. It was January. There was snow on the ground. I was like, we're going to work out. We're going to build a fire. Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. And the pastor was like, have at it. Good luck. I think you're crazy. But we built a fire. We worked out with tires and hammers and burpees and had a devotion around that fire. And we walked away from that knowing something just changed. Something just happened. This was not like anything else, right? And man, we just did it again the next week and again the next week. And then it's like, hey, you take a turn. You lead the workout. You lead the Devo. What are your struggles? What are you going through? You lead the fire this week. So we started creating these leadership opportunities for guys. Guys just start coming out of their cars, walking across the parking lot, coming to this thing that we didn't know. Turns out we weren't the only ones. I wasn't the only one. Like, Christian men, if you've been in church for a long time, you get kind of burned out from the coffee cake in somebody's living room, pretending you read the chapter that week. We're like, man, can we just be real? And can we stop being so comfortable and overfed and soft? And so, man, that's the story. That's the history of what it looked like starting at the beginning. Then another guy, 2 years. We met every Monday night for 2 years. Just our group, before one guy was like, hey, I want to start one of these over at my church. And we were like, oh, that's cool. We'll have two. We'll call it Alpha and Bravo, and then another year goes by and we start Charlie and Delta. And so it was just very, very organic, very, very slow growth, no big national ministry plans by any means until we had been doing this for about 5 years. Then we start hitting 26 of these tribes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get out of the Air Force now, and I'm just going to do this full time. I'm going to be a missionary for men in America, and we're going to see where God takes this. So that's where we are today, brother.
That's so awesome. So awesome. it's going back on what you brought up, doing something rugged, meeting men on a battlefield in some way, shape, or form. When you go to a prayer breakfast or a men's breakfast, and I'm all about it. If that's what's happening at your church, try and support that if you can. But I really have a hard time taking somebody serious when they have donut glaze and powdered sugar on their face. It's hard for me to be real with them. For one, I really don't like donuts. And two, I know that even if I'm real with that man, they're probably not going to be real with me in return. I can ask them how they're doing, and their response is going to be, "I'm great." When I know I'm not always great, and
Yeah,
you're probably not great, you just don't want anybody to know. And what you
that's
have
right.
created through Men's Alliance is so different. And I have a question for you, but I'm going to use an example. Our brand new workout chief, we announced him Tuesday night of this week. Young man, attends the same church that I do, call sign Jersey, great dude. He started attending Shore Tribe. I engaged with him in the foyer of the church one Sunday. "Hey, man, how are you doing?" Response: "I'm great. I'm so good. I'm so glad to be here. It's good to see you." We hug. We're both wearing MA gear. That next Tuesday night at Shore Tribe, he comes to me and says, "Hey, man, really struggling." And my question, I didn't challenge him on it, but my question inside was, interesting. Point proven. 2 days ago, I asked you how you were doing in the foyer of the church, and you said you were doing great. Tuesday night, the following Tuesday night, you come to me and you say, "Hey, my wife and I are, we're struggling with finances, with employment. We're hurting." It's like, all of this happened in the last 2 days? Didn't. You just didn't want to address that in the foyer of a church with men and women and a pastoral team and a volunteer team standing around. But when you
Right.
come to the fire and that thing's blazing and men are praying together, they're anointing that fire and they're doing a workout, things get real and walls come down. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, man, that's a great example. That is so exactly, what we're talking about in MA. And so, going back, hitting on the donut glaze for a second, like, I pick on the church breakfast and the annual men's conference a lot.
Mhm.
And the truth is, like, those things are great, but they can't be the only things, right? That's
Yeah.
like a dessert, right? It's great, but man, that can't be your only meal. And so, sure, don't stop doing the church men's breakfast or the annual conference, but man, add like 90% more to it. Add Men's Alliance, add the weekly, add the outdoor, add the workout, because those are the real things. And then, sure, you can all get together once a month for breakfast, but don't expect the brotherhood to happen over breakfast. Don't expect the life change to happen there. Um, a piece of this is really interesting, your church foyer dynamic, right? There's just something about that space that
Mhm.
is it's almost like driving men to become inauthentic. Nobody's gonna share their real struggles there.
No.
They're just not, and it's not like, the fault of that particular church. It's indoors. It's when you get dressed up, when you tuck your shirt in and go indoors and pass another guy over a cup of coffee on your way to the sanctuary. This ain't the time and place. It's not going to happen here. And so what Men's Alliance does is it creates that time and space, and it creates it in a way where men are absolutely the most real. And honestly, man, I think this has to do with how we were designed. I think this all comes back down to the way God designed us. God designed us outdoors. He designed us, in a garden. The first job he gave to a man was farming, was gardening, was subduing nature, exercising dominion over the animals and the plants. And then you look at the life of Jesus himself, he's outdoors. His entire ministry is outdoors. He's walking from town to town with a band of brothers, right? He builds his tribe, 12 followers. They walk from town to town. They fish, they boat. This is the model. It's outdoors, it's rugged, it's small groups of men. And so we can't do the opposite of that, go indoors, comfortable, 400 men, and expect to get the same result, right? The formula that God gave us in Genesis and then Jesus lives out for us in the New Testament, the formula is outside, small groups, doing hard things together. And I think when we get the formula back to that, which is what Men's Alliance is doing, we take the formula back to the way we were designed. That's when life starts falling together. Things start clicking into place. You're like, oh, okay. Like you experienced, the guy's real. He's sharing his real struggles, right? You're creating that brotherhood. You go, oh, okay. I realize now this could never happen sitting down indoors, comfortable with a donut, talking about a book. It just can't happen there.
Doesn't. No, Jesus Christ is the original small unit leader. He wrote the
That's
book.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Look
right.
at the New Testament. The New Testament is the original document of small unit leadership.
True.
Hands down. And let's talk about sustainment. That's a cool word, right? Sustainment. If you're a veteran or
Great military word.
If you're still on active duty, you know everything about sustainment, right? And for me, Goose, when I see the prayer breakfast, when I see a one night men's event, or maybe it's a weekend event, Promise Keepers was a big one. I don't know if Promise Keepers is still around, but that was a big one, right? Guys go, they pound their chest, they cry a little bit, they sing a lot, they listen to some speakers, they go home, they're revved up, and then they don't do anything with it. And from a military standpoint, I look at that as like your annual shooting qual. You go to the range, throw some rounds. Some guys are going to get expert. Some guys are going to get sharpshooter, marksman. Some people are going to flat out fail. And then they leave the range and they don't do anything to either sustain that expert level of shooting, or they don't do anything to correct the fact that they failed with their primary or secondary weapon system. They don't do anything with it. Now that sustainment can be cool things like going to Midwest, or I'll date myself with Blackwater. If you're in certain communities, pre-Sephardic, Sephardic, those initial things. And then after that, you have to sustain those skills, or they're perishable skills. You can look at martial arts. You can look at archery. You can look at running or weightlifting. You can go in and do one event, or go to one, the word that I'm looking for? You can go to I'm not going to think of it. I'm just going to keep going. And you go someplace and you get energized, and then it ends. And if you're not sustaining that practice, if you're not sustaining that focus or that skill set, it goes away. And most men in their faith, they do that when they go to that one small group, they go to that one prayer breakfast, or that monthly prayer breakfast. What are you doing when you leave Saturday morning at 9 or 10 o'clock? Wiping bacon grease off of your mouth or your fingers so you don't get it over your leather wrapped steering wheel to go home. And then you just fall back into what you brought up earlier, that 10%, that 20%, that 50% of, I have control. I'm going to live life my way until I walk through the doors of church, because that's what my wife wants to do on Sunday mornings. Men's Alliance, totally different. It is the sustainment to being a man in faith, masculinity through Christianity.
Yeah, man, that's well said. The big annual conference, those things take a ton of work to put on. Tens of thousands of dollars to put them on, and they're not sustainable, right? To use your word. So Men's Alliance, the weekly tribe, the small unit, boots on the ground meeting weekly, where the only cost is maybe firewood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you might get that for free as well, right? And so it's very sustainable. Now, one of the big differences that I'll point out, other than the sustainability, between the weekly Men's Alliance tribe and say the big, Promise Keeper type conference deal, is attractiveness. Okay, now here's what I mean by that. Men want to go to that thing. It's attractive. It's got the celebrity speakers. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a road trip for you and a couple of your Christian buddies from your church. You're going to road trip. You're going to eat out. You're going to stay in a hotel. You're going to listen to some amazing speakers. There's going to be a rock concert. You're going to buy a shirt and get an autographed book. That's all attractive. Monday nights, I almost never want to go to Men's Alliance. It is the opposite of attractive. It's the opposite of attractive, intentionally so, right? Because you're going to go outside, and this past Monday night, dude, here in Midlothian, Virginia, absolute deluge of rain. I mean, it was one of those just buckets, cats and dogs, rain coming down, and it's 5 minutes till 6 o'clock. It's go time. You're going to tribe. There's no attractiveness there. Now there kind of is, but you know what I mean. Only because we're kind of messed up, masochists that like that stuff. But there's no food, there's no drinks, there's no coffee. It's not indoors. It's gonna be 30 minutes of pushing yourself into the red zone, VO2 max. You're going to be sucking wind. Your muscles are going to be burning. You're going to be doing burpees. It's going to be too cold or it's going to be too hot. And then you're going to go sit on probably a hard wooden bench or a bag chair that you brought, and you're going to sit around a fire, and you are not going to hear from a professional. You are not going to hear some dazzling message that's been practiced and curated. You're going to hear a dude maybe share his first devotion ever. You're going to hear a dude talk about his struggles at home, his struggles at work, his struggles with his marriage or his addiction or getting laid off or whatever. This is where we're real. This is where we bring it to the fire. So sustainable, yes, and not designed to attract you. It's designed to make it hard. Like I said, I've been doing this for 9.5 years, and I don't ever want to go on Monday night because my couch is far more attractive, right? But it's a decision we make where we remove our subjectivity, our feelings, our opinion, remove it from the equation. It's Monday night, you're going to tribe. Or it's Tuesday night, you're going to tribe. Or it's Saturday morning, you're going to tribe. Whenever your tribe meets, you don't think about it. You don't say, do I want to go to tribe tonight? No, that's the wrong question. You're going to tribe. So it's sustainable. It's long-term. This isn't a one weekend a month or a one weekend a year deal that's designed to attract you. This is every single week, and it's designed to be hard, and you're going to have to make yourself go because it's not going to pull you to it.
100%. The other great thing about this ministry is that it's everywhere. So if you're a man that travels and you're going to be in a different state, in a different city than where you hot and caught, you're likely to find a tribe. So rather than, I traveled a lot in my career. Rather than being in a city where whatever your downtime might be, you eat at a restaurant and then you either go hang out in a bar or you hang out in your hotel room. That's it. Or you find a local gym to go to or a base gym to go to, but that's it. That's all you do.
Yeah.
With Men's Alliance, you're likely to find a tribe somewhere within a 45-minute drive of where you're lodging. And if it aligns with whatever reason you are in that location for, you can go tribe with those men. And the DNA of Men's Alliance, we should probably talk about that, is going to be there. So you know the foundation. You know that you have to show up there a few minutes early in some workout clothes or whatever you want to sweat in and get dirty in. Listen to the workout brief, shake some hands, and then you're going to go through tribe with a whole new group of men. And you're going to learn new tribesmen. You're not learning a new men's ministry environment because it is the same there as it is at your home tribe, but you're doing it with a whole new group of men that are seeking the same thing.
That's
Christianity
such a great point.
through masculinity. It's amazing.
It's going to be the same monthly memory verse. You're going to show up there, and it's the same. They're memorizing the same memory verse, in Oregon as they are Texas, as they are Virginia, and they're saying the same creed at the end. They're creeding up around the fire. It's going to be familiar. It's going to be the same thing. I wanted to just say this too, going back for a second. Your example about the training and the sustainability and the doing it on your own thing, it reminded me of this. And I was just looking this up the other day, so it's fresh on my mind. You know that before the Marines invaded Iwo Jima, the Navy and the Air Force bombed that island for over 70 days straight. This is crazy. There was a bombardment of Iwo Jima from Navy ships beyond line of sight and strategic bombers bombing this island for over 70 straight days. And did that take the island? Did that conquer the island? Did that destroy the enemy? Not even close, right? No. The enemy just went underground. They just went further, deeper underground. They just went into their tunnels and just rode it out. And it took putting boots on the ground on that island in order to defeat the enemy. When the Marines landed there, all the enemy comes back out, and now it's game on. And I think this is what happens in our lives as men, with our struggles with our enemy, and spiritually. That aerial bombardment, that's a lot of smoke, a lot of lights, a lot of noise that flies into town at 30,000 feet, puts on the big conference, puts on the big event. And when we go back home, that enemy's still there. He just went underground for a while. And I see Men's Alliance tribes across the country. That's your boots on the ground. That's where you're going to actually find victory over whatever enemy you're fighting. So I just think that that's such an amazing fact about the Battle of Iwo Jima and what we see, what you and I are talking about with the big unsustainable events versus here's how you're going to actually win, right? And you can imagine, right, that like all the generals and all the admirals had all the plans and they had all the right intention with these bombardments, right? But at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to work is small groups of men putting boots on the ground, and it's going to be a grind. And that's how you're going to find victory.
Man, I'm glad you brought that fact up. When the average person has never experienced true hardship or fear, that's a fact. And when you talk about being, bombarded for 70 days straight, when we have a storm coming in or there's going to be snow or ice or hurricane environment, people will ask me if we're ready or if we're worried. And my answer is, honestly, if I'm not being rocketed, mortared, or shot at, it's not really a bad day. We're likely going to survive it. We haven't had a hurricane last 70 days. A tornado doesn't last 70 days. An ice storm does not last 70 days. Those Japanese soldiers hardened their environment and endured 70 days of explosive bombardment. Insane. And then they returned to the fight. The normal American has no idea what it is like to endure true hardship and fear for 70 straight days, day and night. That's nonstop. And then crawl out of the rubble and engage the enemy. It's hard for us to imagine.
Yeah. Now imagine how much even more so Satan can go underground and wait us out, right? He sees me going to the big Christian conference for the weekend. He's not threatened, right? He's like, I can go underground for a few days. I'll be here, right? I'll come back and I'll hit you when you get back, right? And so when we look at our spiritual lives as men and what's going to keep us on course, what's going to actually help us become the husbands, the fathers, the men, the leaders that God wants us to be, how am I going to do that? What's going to help me do that? Well, if you're listening to this, the answer is it's got to be consistent. It's got to be weekly, which means it's got to be sustainable, which means it can't be big and flashy and expensive. It's got to be, cheap. It's got to be free. It's got to be outdoors. It's got to be rugged. It's got to be raw. It's got to be real. It's got to be all those things. That just ticking off the list in your mind. Okay, well, it sounds like you're starting to really describe Men's Alliance at that point, right? Because it's just the formula. Now, I'm not saying that like there's not other ways for men to grow spiritually, but I think that you can change the name, you can change the logo, but if you're going to reach men, I believe this is the formula. You're going to do it the way Jesus did. You're going to do it outdoors, rugged, physical activity, and being real with a small group. You're not going to do it inside with a large group sitting in a cushioned chair in an air-conditioned room. Something about that makes us, I'm going to create a new phrase here. I'm going to say it makes us go corporate, right? You kind of like drop into corporate mode where you know the right things to say and you know the things not to say in this corporate environment. And a lot of churches create that corporate worship environment, and that makes us drop into corporate mode. I know how to tuck my shirt in and chew with my mouth closed when I need to, right? But that's not the real me all the time.
There's two different types of men in this world, Goose. There's the man that knows that he needs Men's Alliance, and there's the man that thinks he doesn't, but he really does.
Oh man, it's so true. And we've had so many conversations with men through the years that say, I wish I would have found this sooner. Mm-hmm. Right? I wish I would have come to this sooner. There's a guy in particular in my mind right now who I invited this guy to Men's Alliance for a couple years. Right? I thought this guy, he's never coming. He has said no so many times. He's kind of blown it off so many times. And then after several years we're talking about, this guy came to Men's Alliance. It completely changed his life, right? He's gone through Carry the Fire. He's an absolute different man than he was a few years ago. And he's like, he laughs about it, right? He's like, I can't believe it took me so long. I know, right? And that's so many men are that man, right?
Yeah. And when you talk about the enemy fighting against you, I wanted nothing to do with Men's Alliance, nothing. And I agreed through the act of sunshine.
Let's go sunshine.
The day that we were launching our tribe, I called him from my truck and told him that I was not doing it. I was telling him that I was backing out. I was crawfishing, wasn't going to do it. And we had some conversation. He hung up. He listened, chewed on, and prayed about what I'd said, called me back, encouraged me to show up, and here I am. And this might be a great segue into what we need, what we're going to close this podcast out with is now I'm going to be hosting a specific podcast episode release the first Monday of every month on Men's Alliance with tribesmen. That's where it's at in my life right now. I live it, I breathe it, I promote it every single day of my life. And it's so powerful. And I couldn't be more thankful. And I fought it. Yeah.
You know, I love hearing you say that. Shadow and I talk about this too, right? So you're a Navy veteran, you're a warrior. Shadow was a Marine. I was Air Force. We have all had this conversation that if somebody invited us today to Men's Alliance, we wouldn't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to say this more out loud, right? Like, yeah, I would think, no, I don't need this. I've already served. I've been in the military. I don't need this group. Because my stereotype of this group would be this is a group of guys that are like pretending they're playing.
Yes.
And so I get that. Shadow said that. You've said that. I've said that. Gladiator, same boat, right? Retired Army. But here's the thing. When you come check it out, you realize this ain't a group of like wannabes playing. This is actual, authentic, real. You know, something that guys who have never been in the military are surprised when I say this. This surprises guys who've never served. It won't surprise you at all. This truth that I'm about to share. I have a much like by orders of magnitude, I have a much stronger band of brothers now through Men's Alliance than I ever did in the military. 100%. And I had some great bands of brothers flying squadrons, flying combat missions in the military. I was with some great units and I have some great friends there. But nothing like what I've got through Men's Alliance. And be interested to hear your thoughts on that too.
That would be for another time. That's a box to unpack. Yeah. But I 100% agree with you. And I've had multiple call signs in my life. I have a whole. It's in a shape charge dish, which I'm not going to explain what that is, but I have a shape charge from Iraq, and I have a couple hundred military coins sitting in that shape charge down in my den. I didn't need any more coins. Right. And I was in a 3-piece club. I didn't need another patch. I didn't want another patch. That chapter was closed. I wanted nothing to do with it, Goose. And when I first pulled up the website, I looked at it and I thought, that's incredible. I love what that guy has started. It is not for me. I have experienced all of that. I have closed those doors. That will never be me. And now me and a man named David like to throw the saying around that it takes a little bit of sunshine to light a fuse. He prayed and he pushed and he was not shy and he got me to Tribe. I didn't stall. I made the decision that I would pursue a call sign, but I told him I'm not doing it on week 3. I want there to be intent and purpose behind a call sign because that's what it's supposed to be. It's not a check in the box. It should not be a check in the box. So I waited. It was July, August, it was just before or bleeding into September before I raised my hand and said, I will get on the tire and pursue a call sign. In the beginning, I had no intentions of a coin or going through CTF. I didn't want it. I didn't need it. At least that's what Aaron Ritter thought.
Right.
The day that we launched Tribe, there were 3 patched men that showed up to support Sunshine. When I watched those guys walk up with their patched gear on, I said to myself, I will never be that guy. I don't need the patch. I don't need the stuff. I'm just here to sharpen myself with men. I told my wife that I would never go through CTF. I viewed it as a group of guys that either retired from the military and just couldn't get over who they were and what they did, and that they wanted to go relive those moments somewhere doing something with a group of men, or even worse, those men that didn't serve but knew a little bit about it and wanted to get that taste. I get to go be that guy for a couple of days. And I was like, I've been training cadre, and I've been the recipient of training cadre and of guys doing things just because they get to do it. And I told her, I was like, I'll never go. And when I signed up for CTF and put it on the shared calendar, my wife said, "Hey, what's this CTF? I thought you said you would never do this." And I didn't just do it. I mean, it took over my life. And that's why I say there's two types of men in this world. There's men that know they need it, and there's the men that think that they don't, but they truly do. God knew that I needed to be in Men's Alliance. I didn't. Satan didn't want me in Men's Alliance for a reason, because when I put on my Men's Alliance t-shirt, when I put on my Men's Alliance ball cap, Satan knows it's going to be a bad day because I'm coming.
Yes, I love that. You know what's interesting too, man, just about our culture is so I try very intentionally in the Men's Alliance culture and DNA to not make it militaristic. This is not a paramilitary organization. I tell guys all the time at their, guys who are workout chiefs and stuff, I'm like, dude, don't run and call cadences. We're not trying to look like we're in the military. I saw a guy one time, he put his patch on a beret, and I was like, no, take that off. I don't want anybody wearing a beret. Like, just anything I see that just looks like trying to be military, I squash it. So I try to stay away from a lot of those, paramilitary look things, because they rub me the wrong way. I'm not playing Army out here. But here's what's interesting about our culture. If you get a group of men outdoors exercising together, people point at it and say they want to be in the military. They're pretending like they're in the military. It's like literally our culture is so our cultural view of masculinity is so broken that we don't know how to process what healthy masculinity looks like. We have a couple of unhealthy buckets where, like, it's either the military or it's gay, right? Like, these are our buckets. And we're like, is it in the military bucket or the gay bucket? Or like, it's like, those are your only buckets. Yeah. Man, your view of Christian masculinity is so broken. This isn't anything in a military bucket. This is men, grown adult men outdoors working out together. And interesting, if you've never traveled, and seen other cultures, other countries, not everything we do here in this culture is done around the world, right? You'll go to a park in Japan or a park in China, like a city park, at like 6, 7 a.m. You'll see groups of 70 and 80-year-olds exercising together. Like, yes. You will never see that in America. You will never go to a city park at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning and see 50, 70-year-olds working out together. This kind of thing is weird here in our culture. And we see men doing push-ups around a fire behind a church. And we don't know how to process that in our culture. And we say, oh, they're trying to be like they're in the military, or we're like, oh, that looks gay. And it's sad when you hear that, because, man, first of all, men don't have enough male friends. And that's a big problem with our culture. So, right. So, like, men who actually have close male friends that they talk with and they share their struggles with and they're sharpened with, and they're exercising together, and they're reading the Bible together, and they're memorizing verses together, and all these things. The rest of the world looks at this and they don't know how to process it. They don't know what bucket to put that in. And honestly, that's their problem, right? They need some new buckets to process this stuff in, because like you experienced when you went all in with Men's Alliance, call sign, coin, patch, the whole bit, you realized this is not what I thought it was. This is a different bucket entirely.
Correct. So let's talk about what this episode is launching, Goose.
Yeah.
Men's Alliance, it's for Christian men. But I had this conversation with the tribe leaders on the Eastern Shore this morning. When we're engaging with and pursuing men, and I covered continuum and multiple different things, and that's for a whole nother podcast. But when you're engaging with men, you want to encourage them, the non-believers, the skeptics, men that are suffering or are dealing with big life obstacles, disabilities, encourage them to come to Men's Alliance.
Yeah.
Because you never know what somebody is going to overcome when they come to Men's Alliance. And this pilot episode, this is going to be called Men's Alliance Monday. It's going to be the first Monday of every month. So I want to get my date correct. This episode is launching on June 1st. Love it. Monday, June 1st, pilot episode. We are going to interview, I am going to interview. Obviously, you are welcome to be a guest on Men's Alliance Mondays if and whenever you want to. But Limitless Podcast is going to record the Men's Alliance Monday, and it's going to be tribesmen who have overcome life obstacles through Jesus Christ and Men's Alliance. We're going to do it the first Monday of every month, and we're going to do that until we run out of candidates. And the beauty of it is we're not going to run out of candidates. I could probably record and release episodes the first Monday of every month for the rest of my life and probably still not get everybody on the show that needs to share their testimony and share with other listeners what they overcame through Christ and Men's Alliance. I'm so excited.
Yeah, man. Fuse, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to listen. I'll be a regular listener to hear how Men's Alliance is being used by God to change lives. I love what you're doing. It's going to be fantastic.
Appreciate it. So let's why don't you share with everybody, Goose, how and where to find Men's Alliance?
Yeah.
Start with that.
Man, so guys, if you're listening to this, you got to go to our website, check out men'salliancetribe.com, men'salliancetribe.com. That's where you're going to find everything and get plugged in. There's a great map on there. It's going to show you where the tribes are at around you. Every tribe is free every week. You don't register. You just show up, dress for the weather, bring a bottle of water. It'll show you when and where they meet. It'll give you that tribe leader's contact info. It's going to help get you connected to the band of brothers that we all need. If you don't live anywhere near a tribe, the website will help you if you want to start one. So there's going to be a big button on there for help me start a tribe. We've got an amazing tribe launch team. They're going to help you get one off the ground. Listen, if you're thinking that sounds cool, but I don't know if I could do that, I don't know if I'm the man for that, let me just explain. It's a 30-minute outdoor workout, 30-minute devotion around a fire. It's not rocket science. You can do it. Guaranteed, right? It's getting men out of isolation, getting them out of their comfort zones, and getting them away from the facade that everything's fine. Plus, we just dropped this on the website. I'm excited about this. If you don't live near a tribe and you don't want to start a tribe, you can join MA Nation. You can click on that on the website and get our free ebook. It's got 30 at-home outdoor workouts in it and 30 real-world devotions in it. So join MA Nation, join a tribe, start one in your area. All this is on the website. Subscribe to our podcast. That's on the website as well. We've got a YouTube channel, Men's Alliance Tribe. Would love to have you following there, commenting there. I just did a podcast last week based on an email we received. It was actually from a wife of a tribesman. And it was our first, it felt like a Dear Abby, right? For those of us that are old enough to remember that, where somebody wrote in with a problem and we addressed it on a podcast. And so if we want to do more of that, right? And so if you've got an issue, if you've got a problem, if you've got a question, we would love to hear about it either through email or YouTube, and we'll address it there. But man, we're at like, the last time I looked, I think like about 480 tribes right now. And God is just spreading this like wildfire. Like I said at the beginning, it's changing how churches do men's ministry. And we're partnered with over 250 different churches in about a dozen different denominations. So interdenominational all over the U.S. We would love to help your listeners start tribes in their areas.
Love it. Folks, that's a wrap for today. Really looking forward to Men's Alliance Mondays. Remember, it's on every major podcast platform, Limitless Podcast. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed this episode. There's going to be a lot more to come on Mondays. Be limitless.
The gravel hard, worn hands, open Bibles, iron sharpens iron scarred. We call each other higher, to love our homes with fire. Husbands, fathers, leaders, living out the word. Build us strong, make us true, teach our fists what grace can do. Tires in the dust, sweat runs down our backs, challenge coins in weathered palms, patch on a sweat brim hat. We learn each other